So here's 5 receivers I would start with confidence this week in your fantasy football league. And it's not all obvious guys. It's guys that might be on your bench or even on the free agent list. But anyway, the number 1 guy is Chase Claypool. I'm going to keep riding out the hot hand. He coming off a 4-touchdown game 2 weeks ago. It's Chase Claypool. Then last week he had 4 catches for 76 yards and an end around for a touchdown. So Claypool, he's a big part of this Steeler offense. We've seen Juju Smith-Schuster not do much the last 2 weeks. Last week he only had 2 catches for 6 yards, which is pathetic. Deontay Johnson was out last week. But Ben, he likes to throw that ball deep, and his only 2 deep threats really who could run that field is James Washington and Claypool, and no one could guard Claypool. It seems like he's a mismatch. 6'4", quick rookie receiver. We've seen the rookies break out this year. And Claypool, if you have him and you're in a pinch or guys on bye, he's definitely worth the start. It's Claypool. The second guy is another hot free agent pickup off the wire, and that's Travis Fulgham. You start him with confidence. He's versing the Giants tomorrow night in Philly. This guy, he's got the height. He's got Wentz's trust. We saw Wentz target him early and often last week, and even throw an alley-oop into the end zone to him off a prayer to score versus a tough Baltimore secondary. So Fulgham, he's a guy, he's going to be a mainstay in that Philly offense, I think, is Fulgham. With his size and height, Jeffrey and Jackson, you can't rely on him if I'm Philly. And now with Zach Ertz out and Miles Sanders, he's a guy you could count on even more if you're Carson Wentz, that big target. So Fulgham definitely a start out there this week. The third guy, another guy you could have picked up off the wire, Tim Patrick. We've seen him be a main focal point of the Broncos offense in the last 2 weeks with back-to-back 100-yard games. And last week, he was impressive with 4 catches for 100 yards with Stephen Gilmore on him most of the time. But it didn't stop Patrick from getting his 14 fantasy points. And if he got a touchdown in there, that's a huge day. So Patrick, he's got a good matchup versus the Chiefs. The Chiefs, they might be up early and often in this game. And like I say a lot in the videos, the Broncos will be trailing most games where they're going to have to throw the ball 35, 40 times. So go out there, pick up Patrick if you haven't already, and plug him into your third receiver or flex spot. The fourth guy I'm going to fire up, and we've seen him the last few weeks now, having some big games, even on limited targets, and that's Christian Kirk coming off a 2-touchdown game versus Dallas with an 80-yard bomb and an end around into the end zone. So Christian Kirk and Murray are creating a rapport now. Kirk's getting more targets. He's playing more over Larry Fitzgerald. Defenses roll the coverage. Defenses roll the coverage towards DeAndre Hopkins and Murray's running ability with the spy. So Christian Kirk, he's getting those one-on-one opportunities. And this week, he versus a Seattle team that is horrible versus receivers. I think they give up the first most fantasy points to receivers. So Christian Kirk, on a week with the buys, are kicking in more. He's a guy I'd go out there and start with confidence, and he could get you maybe 15, 20 points. And it just takes one deep ball for Kirk to have a good fantasy day. And the fifth and final guy that I would start in my lineup this week is Darius Slayton. We saw him come off a touchdown last week versus the Washington football team. He's a good possession receiver. Daniel Jones trusts him. Slayton, a good route runner as well. So he's a solid start at your flex for sure. He's got a plus matchup versus Philly. Yeah, Demarius Slay might be on him. But this game, I think both teams are going to go up and down the field. And it's going to be a lot of fantasy points for these players. So Darius Slayton, with confidence, you go in there and put him in your starting lineup. So that's 5 receivers that I'm going to start this week with confidence. And they're not the biggest names, but they're guys that can help you win your matchup this week in Week 7.